Okay, audio testing, audio testing. Can you hear that on the stream, Tyler?
Yay!
Okay, guys, we figured it out. We missed qualifying, but we're here for the British Grand Prix round 9 of the, or 8, round 8 of
It,
of the ARC Formula 3 Championship presented by SimLeaguePro. Carlo Durante currently on the pole position. I think basically everyone's completed their laps. Sorry to not bring you that
Everyone's
coverage.
done their
Uh,
laps, even Payne is in the garage.
but yeah, it's a nice clear day, as we stated before when you guys couldn't hear us. Here in Britain, we use real weather in auto race and connected competition, and it is a nice March clear day, and very surprising for Silverstone.
Yeah, that's what I was
But
gonna say. I was very surprised that it's not pouring down rain.
yeah, we kind of all came into the weekend, or at least from last week, we were like, yeah, well, maybe it's gonna be rain next week, but it actually seems okay. Um, Carlo Durante with another phenomenal qualifying performance, obviously on the soft tire, but he's up 5.5 tenths to Jamie Knock in second. And his teammate in the other Fast Formula Esports, Mercedes in P3, Aston, 7.5 tenths down. And then from there, it's basically everyone over a second behind. We got some new guys in the league this week. Uh, Sixth place, Joachim 5028 from Sweden. Got a few others. Shade Mabs from Pakistan, which is one of our furthest away drivers geographically from
Oh yeah,
our
Pecos? Oh, that's cool.
home home of Canada. But yeah, who's your pick for the win tonight, Tyler?
Um, if you are betting, then you probably should say Carlo Durante. He's leading points, and I think he's won the most races this season. But I mean, as you saw, anything can happen from that Austria race. We ended up with, I think, three people finishing it, or maybe four. So I don't know. I feel like we're gonna have a full send here, and it's gonna shake the order up.
Yeah, I I think I disagree that anything that crazy will happen. I think Carlo's been pretty on it for the last few races, honestly. Very minimal mistakes aside from that slight thing that happened to him at France, but even then he had a very solid recovery. So I don't know. I don't think anybody's really gonna shake him from that top spot at the moment. Um, However, I do feel as if we've got maybe a little bit more potential for that, like you said, this week compared to past weeks. Just because there's so many new people, like so many unknowns heading into this week, it's kind of crazy. Obviously, we touched on the top three. They're all known quantities at this point in the season. We're 8 rounds in. Um, Darius fourth. He's always quick. He starts a little further back this week than he might normally, but he could work his way up through. Matthew Stotts actually is a phenomenal qualifier, and when he's that far back, you assume he's probably touched on a fairly decent race setup because he normally isn't fifth. He's normally like third. So you can imagine he'll be a contender in this race. And the thing that really excites me, I think beyond everything else, is just how many new guys we have. Like Joachim in P6 currently in the AlphaTauri for 79 Motorsports, obviously a new driver. Feared by Gaming raced a few ARC Formula 2 races earlier in the season and has been, we'll say, moved to ARC Formula 3, which is probably a better fit. Don Kaz, a new driver, another Canadian in 13th, and then obviously, as we said, Shade Mabs, Ali Hashmi in P14, a new driver as well. So a lot of new faces here, and I don't think you can count out people like Adam Pelk, obviously former ARC Formula 1 driver. He's taken a lot of time off due to real life stuff. So he could be, if he gets back into the swing of things, he could be a legitimate contender. And I think the biggest surprise in the starting grid at the moment is James Sands down in P12. So I think he can also have a very good race dependent on everything.
I think one thing we have to mention before we get started is that fourth, fifth, and sixth all qualified on the medium compound tire. So yes, they qualified a little bit lower, but I think they might have this strategy for this race.
Yeah, I think Britain's a pretty hard track on tires, so that'll be definitely interesting to watch. Cars are syncing up now for the good connection, so we can all go and race pretty hard into turn 1. We have 5 red lights, and we're off. Pretty decent start from the lead Mercedes of Carlo Durante, but Jamie Knock keeps the inside line there. He tucks in behind, gets passed by Aston Lewis, and we have a breakaway for the Mercedes already. Coming down through turn 3 into the tightest portion of the track. Everything fairly clean so far. Ethan Payne drops down to 10th. Close racing in the back, but nothing really too crazy happening at the moment. Oh, we have a spin! We have a spin! Ethan Payne spun around at the exit of turn 4. He'll back it up.
Just on his own?
Yeah, I think he just looped it on the traction, but we'll go back to the leaders. Mercedes breakaway 1-2 for Fast Formula Esports. I'm sure Jackson Turner will be very happy about that. We have 2 cars side by side headed down into Copse. Jamie Knock on the inside, Darius McGill on the outside. Darius off the track, and he'll have to give that position back. I'm sure he'll make another move down into Copse though. Everybody's starting to file out a little bit. 14 drivers here tonight, all racing very, very closely. And we have a yellow in Sector 2. I'll check that out.
It's Ethan.
Still Ethan back there, probably still grass on the tires. I'm sure he'll recover though, he most of the time does. Adam Pelk dropping a few positions, interestingly. 2 Alpines going at it. I think that might have been a coordinated switch. James already up to P8, which is a good recovery given, you know, where he's battling for championship win at the moment. But Carlo being that far ahead is obviously kind of a blow, so he'll need something to happen in this race. We race on reduced safety cars, so interesting to, you know, see if we get one of those tonight. I don't know, certain tracks are more sensitive than others, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see if, you know, that could shake anything up in this race.
Okay, so far looking at your biggest movers, we have James up to P8 from starting P12. We have Shade Mavs, I'm not comfortable with the actual name yet, up 3 spots.
Oh,
and then
interruption for contact here. Feared by Gaming and Joachim 5028 going at it here into Luffield. They were side by side. I think Feared by Gaming actually pushed the AlphaTauri slightly off the track, but yeah, they're having a great battle right now. Yeah, I'll think twice about sending the nose in up the inside of Copse. They're off the track slightly for the AlphaTauri, not a huge deal. I think the one thing to note here.
Off track.
Was there?
Yeah,
Aston Lewis a little off there.
Oh, that was Aston. Okay.
There's, I think the one thing to note here is actually James.
Oh, Darius contact with the rear of the Mercedes. I don't know if that's damage. I don't see damage. No end plates, and he's looking to make a move around the outside of the final corner. That's
more contact. And more
That's
contact.
more contact. I'm not sure if on the final corner. I know they contact before.
They're not liking each other right now.
I'm not sure. Oh, and he's on the power too. Gonna take the inside line. Probably wash a little wide to show that he does not like him.
Oh, more contact.
Oh, Darius gives it back. They're 2x2 in this corner. Matthew Stotts and Jamie Knock. Matthew Stotts gets a little loose, saves it.
Jamie Knock was also quite loose on the power there, breaking
Darius
traction.
is up to P2 with DRS. Apollo Eston's gonna give it everything he has on the ERS. Just not enough.
But it's an interesting little train here starting. I'm sure Carlo Durante is not going to mind that, though. He's already up to a 4.3 second lead after all that contact from the P2 battle.
Yeah, I think if this battle kind of simmers down, it seems like Darius has pretty good pace going from 4th to 2nd, passing the people on the softer compound tire the first 2 laps.
I'm not really sure about that move into the second part of club, though. I mean, typically, you know, it's the driver ahead's corner if they're less than half a car length back, and I don't know, that would have been pretty close if he was half a car length or anything. Unfortunately, no real way to go back and look at the replay for us, but
they're definitely going to fight again. He's getting a run using Slipstream, takes a move to the right side.
So what Aston's really going to want. One thing I'm noticing is Darius, every time that he gets passed, he just kind of turns in on the driver that he...
And Darius is in, I think he got damaged.
Well, yeah, if you turn in on the driver that you're passing every time, eventually you're going to lose some wing.
So this does bring Joachim into the battle. He is now in the DRS, and then Feared by Gaming with no ERS is barely in the DRS of Joachim. So we'll see if they can hold on to the DRS.
Another important thing to note here is if Harley Collins can just get 2/10 of a second to P7, everybody from P2 to P11 will be in a DRS train.
I wonder what happened to some of these people back here, because
Oh, we have a Sector 2 yellow. It's Ethan again.
That is Ethan.
Ethan has retired.
Probably the smart decision at that point.
I
think he might have been almost a lap down. So Darius is out of the pits, comes out P13, goes into the hard, so is just going to try to make that work to the end of the race. Probably the best thing to do. I'm not sure if we're going to get any sort of safety car. I think the one battle to look at is Matthew Stotts on the back of Aston Lewis. Stotts gets an okay run. No, he's having to catch the car. What a save! That's kind of all I have to say is what a save. That was pretty insane. Took too much curb, then got really loose, and then almost had the car spin out, and was able to collect it.
3-second time penalty for Aston Lewis as he goes.
And Jamie made a move over that last straight too that I didn't really see.
I was going to say as he got passed by Jamie Knock that I can't imagine that there was crazy contact, but I'm pretty sure that's where that 3 seconds came from.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, I'm not sure how much Matthew Stotts is feeling comfortable in the car. There was a few big catches so far, and we're only on lap 5. Now, it could be the harder compound tire just doesn't feel as good, but I mean, I'm not sure. There was one catch in an unusual corner, and then that one was going onto the hanger straight. I think that's the hanger straight at least. And then he had to do a big catch just to not slam into a wall.
You know, I'm actually impressed by Fueled by Gaming's race so far because, you know, given the last few weeks in ARC Formula 2 and, you know, some of the things that we saw happen, there were a few moments he had. To come down to AF3, kind of regroup, and, you know, I know we're only 5 laps into the race, but, like, nothing has really been problematic so far. Like, he had a little battle, like, he wasn't really having them in AF2, but he had a pretty decent little battle with the AlphaTauri of Joachim 5028 earlier in the race. Like, I'm impressed. I think this is maybe a much better fit for him, you know?
Yeah, one thing that is problematic for him, however, is he did not get DRS in that last straight, and that was 1.5 out of the DRS range, and he comes to box, and he speeds, because he just didn't slow down. That was 180.
I think we might accidentally have pit assist turned on, because there was no speeding penalty there. We will have to change that for the next race.
He hit the pits at 180.
That is my bad.
So,
I will take responsibility for that one. Whoops.
Anyways, Jamie Knock almost pulling away from Apollo Aston in the DRS, but we still have DRS all the way back to P6, who is James Sands, and that is a pretty nice stint to go from 12th to 6th.
Well,
I think he can't really complain at that.
We're only lap 6 too, so like he's...
Adam Pelk making a move on Shade. Pretty clean.
And he picks up a time penalty.
Maybe not so clean, but
it was clean. It just wasn't on the track entirely. But...
So that moves Adam Pelk into P8, one position below where he started, and Harley Collins gets the time penalty as well. So we see about half the field currently with time penalties. I think... Oh, Adam Pelk goes around.
Oh,
That's a wing gun, but somehow not a wheel gun.
Yeah, that was a pretty hard hit into the wall. I was expecting a lot more damage from him, but he's going to have to try and get back around the track without losing too much time here. Obviously,
Sector 2 yellow.
Obviously, he's going to lose a ton of time, but, you know, it's all about trying to recover now. I'm sure he'll be kicking himself for that. But he's been out of racing for quite a long time, so, you know, you can't really fault him too bad for that. Aston Lewis has dived into the pit now. He'll be headed in for his first and maybe last stop of the race, depending on what he takes here. I think you can make a medium go to the end here. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure you can.
I think at that point you have to be thankful that you're not out of the race. Because, I mean, the way he hit that wall, that should have shattered his tire. But luckily it didn't. It just took off his wing. So I think for him still having a chance at this, if we get some sort of VSC or safety car, I think that's all he'll have to be thankful for here.
Yeah,
so we'll see where Aston comes out. in conjunction with Darius because he had to get a wing change, but it's kind of an undercut. So we'll see if he's anywhere close.
Well, here
Aston
comes
Lewis coming out of the pits. Darius coming around the corner. So Darius
pretty
doesn't lose
close.
much time. He's just on the harder compound tire, so if he can use Aston to pull him up into the whatever battle that is, then that would work out in Darius's favor.
Well, what we need right now from Aston is for him to get completely clear of Darius. That's what Aston will be needing anyway, because you know they
sure.
obviously they had that battle earlier in the race. We don't know how what Darius is thinking right now. He came off another league race last night where he was already angry, so I don't know how much mist he's driving with today, but hope that nothing happens with this. We'll see, I guess. I'm sure there will be incident reports after the race, and as always.
Jamie Knock is in the pits. That moves Matthew Stats up to P2. Oh, there was contact somewhere, and that is Shade Mavs around. Contact, I think, with Luke Allen.
Yeah, I think he might be right there. I didn't catch entirely what happened, but I did see Kaz dropped a position as well, so I don't know, maybe it was with Kaz or maybe it was with Allen. I don't actually have any idea who that was with. I guess we'll see.
And we'll also see how far Aston Lewis and Darius come off of Jamie Knock. They look to be pretty far off.
0.8 seconds right now between Kaz and Allen. Kaz will have his DRS open this straight. This could end up turning into a battle, not sure though.
Maybe there was some sort of wing change with the Mercedes as well, because if you look at the gap, there is like almost 6 seconds between Aston Lewis and Jamie Knock. So something had to go on there.
I mean, that could be too. He did have that initial contact with Darius, and maybe he was just holding on. Because, I don't know, I wasn't expecting Aston to drop through the pack as much as he did, so maybe he was like, well, you know, I've got this damage, maybe it makes more sense to repair this and then fight my way back through the field.
Yeah, and the difference between strategy there is that Darius came immediately in and then got his wing and then went to a harder compound tire. Well,
we're watching Don Kaz, his first race, going by Luke Allen into Stowe. Pretty clean move. Luke Allen basically just lets it happen. And we're about to see neither one of them peeled off into the pit. I was expecting somebody to, but nope, they kept going. After that spin...
they're trying to keep their mediums pretty fresh.
Well, Don's... Aren't they both on the soft?
Oh, so the Williams just got a speeding penalty, so maybe we didn't? Because he just did the same thing that
so I think he
did.
just didn't have pit assist turned on. It's
that
not meant to be turned on anyway, so I think he just genuinely made a mistake. But
okay.
Yeah.
I thought he came into the pits fast, but so Darius is 6/10 out of range, but Aston Lewis will get the DRS on Feared by Gaming. So maybe that he can try to break Darius with that. We'll see. At the moment, there's no active battles going on. It seems to be pretty spaced out.
Well, we got an okay battle here between Don and
Aston
Luke.
makes a move on Feared by Gaming, pretty much no fight.
Well, that wasn't going to be a fight anyway. I don't think Feared by Gaming is in real contention in that pack right now. I think he's still on his first set of tires. Correct me if I'm wrong.
He went.
No, he did pit,
mediums.
didn't he?
He pitted from those softs and mediums.
So did he come out ahead of Aston Lewis?
He pit way earlier. I think he pit like lap 6, and then I have to think at this point Aston got a wing change. But
that's really weird.
Now
okay.
Darius has DRS and Feared has DRS.
Oh, we have a sector 2 yellow. We'll take a look, see who
Adam
it
Pelk
is. And he's in the wall again. This time in an awful spot.
Yeah,
how did he get in the wall there?
I guess just hit the gravel. Put on too much power too early. He better watch out because he's going to come out right in front of the Mercedes. And he's around a... Yeah, his tires are so hot. You have to be really careful after you spin once.
Yeah, he's struggling right now. This is...
So like I mentioned before, Aston Lewis used the power of another car just to get around, and Darius wasn't able to get around Feared by Gaming, and him being in his way just kind of stopped him from holding onto the DRS of Aston Lewis. So exactly what you said could happen, did happen, and now that puts Aston in the best position for, I think, this P3.
I can't tell if that was intentional or not, but we do have a safety car.
Safety
It
car.
seemed as if he just drove into the wall. I don't know.
Oh, he crashed? I thought he just retired the car.
Yeah. I
Okay,
did get
so
that all
that's...
on the clip, though. That was an interesting turn of events, though.
So who are the big winners from that? Everybody that stayed out, for one.
Yeah.
Now
Biggest
Matthew Stotts
losers
is at a
here.
disadvantage because he has to go on the hard compound tire.
Well, let's just go through class them all. Carlo's a huge winner from this. Stotts big winner from this, obviously.
I think it's a little bit less though, because I mean,
Well, anybody with
kinda
time
suck.
penalties is a slight loser, but just because you know they lose the gap they were building.
Whoa, that's weird. It looked like Luke Allen was slowed down, but he did get a speeding penalty as well. Here, we'll look at it with Jamie Knock. Oh no, he's staying out. If I'm asking Lewis, I'd dive it in and get me a new pair of mediums. That's exactly what he does. But Jamie Knox trying to get track position. I'm not sure where that puts him because Carlo's already on track. Matthew Stotts is already on track.
We had a lot of speeding penalties in this race so far, which is kind of funny considering we saw Feared by Gaming just absolutely book it into the pit earlier.
Yeah, I think he probably has pit assist then, no?
I think you're probably right.
Yeah, so everybody pits here except for Shade at the end. And then Jimmy Knock didn't either. And he is on older mediums, but he is up to P3. I think I'm a little bit surprised at that. But I do understand getting the positions, however he is on older mediums than everybody else. And Joaquim and Matthew Stotts went on the softs. That's something I did not expect. I do not like the soft compounded tire. Now, do I choose it over the hards? Possibly. But I'm not sure if it'll last the 15 or 14 laps that we'll restart with.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I don't know how hard you can push that. I think the first few laps are critical when you do something like that. It's definitely a strategy call, but I mean, at the same time, last week at the Red Bull Ring, we saw in ARC Formula 1, we saw Francis Ferrand and Ewan Small push a tire, a medium, that absolutely shouldn't have made it as far as it did, and they finished first and third. So, you know, maybe this is actually the call. But again, like as you said, it is probably a little more difficult than it was last week at Austria.
Yeah, I think the difference between last week and this week is in Austria, the safety car came out so early that they were able to. The difference was they didn't stop, and in this one, I don't think anyone's gonna stop. They're just gonna have like really bad tires at the end.
Yeah, I suppose you're correct there.
Every time the car doesn't come in, it helps them out, but I think it'll come in this time, so that'll be, I think, 14 laps that they have to push the tires in racing conditions, and I don't think I've ever pushed them past like 10 or 11 here.
We'll see what happens in this one. We have, what, 13 laps left? 14? 13? 14?
Yeah, we
something
should
like that.
restart with something around there. And it's not just one person that did it either. Joaquim also went under the sauce. So maybe Stas is thinking he can get around the leader and maybe push a little bit of a gap. And
I believe Joaquim also has a pit road speeding penalty to serve.
He does. He has 8 seconds, and so does Shade. And then a lot of people down the order have 3 seconds.
But does he have a drive-through, or did it just give him 5 seconds?
No, when you speed, it'll just give you 5 seconds.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was a drive-through.
It's a 5-second penalty.
My bad.
Now, this could set Stats up very well, depending on how this works, because like I said, if he's able to stay with Carlo, then that would work. If he's able to pull on Carlo, that would also work. But if, the big thing is probably pulling out of Jamie's DRS, and then kind of getting him pulled back into the fight for 4th, 5th, and then that lets you skate away and get a podium.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see how 10th and 11th do, because, I mean, they qualified 3rd and 4th on the grid, I think. So they are really down there, and I want to see how they recover. Darius is trying to shave a little bit of fuel.
blows an engine.
I don't know if I've ever seen that happen.
I
Maybe
think
sometime
we've
I
only
wanna
had
see someday.
one engine failure in ARC Formula 1 history. This is a fun fact. It was Jamal Stallings back in 2016,
Oh, so we're
2017.
coming in this time.
2017 in the Sauber for Jamal Stallings racing team. So, there's your
Did he
fun
do it like
fact
that?
of the
Was
day.
it just revving the engine out like that?
Yeah, it was something similar to that one. But yeah, anyway, here comes Carlo Durante leading the pack. Still
at the
ahead
gap.
of Matthew Stotts. Aston Lewis picks up another time penalty, but he's up to P9, so I don't know, maybe there's a trade-off there.
I would say that part of stat strategy that could work is look at the gap between him and Jamie Knock on that restart. They caught him napping for sure.
Yeah, 100%. What I'm interested to see is, you remember last week, we had a legitimate beef between Stotts and Carlo Durante. And we might have one again here today.
Side by side.
They battled it
outside.
out.
Oh no, the Mercedes on the inside and the competitor on the outside going into Cobbs. And did he back out? No, he just lifted slightly. And now he backs out. Stotts runs wide.
Yeah, that's a good
I'm
battle for the
glad.
lead. Headed down through Maggots and Beckett's now. The Mercedes gonna try and get a run headed down the hangar straight toward Stowe.
Yeah, he got a pretty bad exit though, so I don't think any amount of ERS will really pull him to him. Stotts is still draining as well, so they used a similar amount. Is there any other? Oh, Feared by Gaming trying to make a move on James. He's gonna run wide into him.
That was close. Good close battle there. Shade Mabs with a 3-second penalty. Feared by Gaming actually having a really good race this race.
Matthew Stotts has fastest lap. There is someone in AI at the moment. It's the Ferrari of Kaz. So I'm not sure what's up with that. And the AI is making a move. This rogue AI is pretty fast.
I'm not really sure how there's contact. If ghosting's on, I'm not really sure how he's in AI.
And Aston Lewis, they're getting super aggressive on this Alpine, and they're clipping. They're grabbing each other. The Mercedes and
yeah, Darius is really doing a great.
Oh, and Aston.
Yep, that was.
I don't know what to think of that, because going into that corner, there was Darius made a move to the outside, and then Aston Lewis absolutely sent it up the inside, and then Darius was on the edge of the track, and then there was a hooking. And then I feel like
what you said is correct, yes, but I feel like a hooking is a very very light way of putting that, considering I was riding on board with Darius. No, yeah.
I was talking about the initial one.
Throughout that entire clip, I was riding on board with Darius, and my initial impression is, if you continue to make contact like that, and there's a car that's constantly having those issues right with you, why are you why are you still cranked your steering all the way to the left, hooking some? Just let him go. Neither person would have gotten the damage that they came away with there if they would have just swallowed their pride and let the people go. I think.
Darius is out for a pit stop.
Yeah, I think both of their races are ruined just on a.
Oh, there was an end plate on track at the final corner.
It just seemed like slightly.
I think it's from the Haas here. Feared by Gaming. He said was having a great race before.
Yeah,
gets
commentary.
The safety car, and then I think has damage. And it was at the beginning of the tracks too, so you have to limp it all the way around.
Is Kaz still in AI?
I saw it from someone else's screen, and then it said he had AI on him.
Oh well, let's watch his line through this corner. That looks like AI.
I feel like one thing that shows AI is when they do like the slight overcorrections, like they'll just like keep doing the same input sometimes.
Yeah, I think he's an AI.
I'll have to just check from someone else's screen if he gets close enough. Joaquim is on the back of Jamie Knock here, and I think what Stotts wanted to do is exactly what he did. He has pulled away from third place, so now your softs aren't really going to compete with him, and he was able to stick in your DRS. So I think now is the time that you let him go and then trail behind him. But we know Stotts, and Stotts likes to put on a show, so we're expecting to see a fight here.
Yeah, I think after what we saw at Austria last week, I think the furthest thing on his mind was going to be letting Carlo just kind of skate away with a position. Uh, after last week, there were some choice words between the two of them after the race. Um, Disagreement, we'll say. Carlo was leading. Stotts had a ton of penalties, and Carlo was of the belief that Stotts should not have been fighting. And Stotts was of the belief that he was within his right to fight. And I mean, honestly, neither one of them were wrong. I
And
guess
also,
that's
it was a
just kind
very
of a
interesting.
I guess that's just kind of a respect thing between competitors at that point, but like they've built enough of a gap at this point, I think. Oh,
Oh, and Carlos
slight
off into the
overcorrection,
gravel.
yeah. Looked like he lost the rear there under traction, just put it in the grass or the gravel a little bit, but I'm sure he'll recover here through cops,
Yeah.
down to 7th.
If I'm Stotts, I'm on that ERS. I don't want him back in my DRS. And if you think he can pull it away on these tires, then I would go for it. Now, the gap is very close to 1 second, so depending on where the detection line is, he does have it.
Yeah.
And James picked up a time penalty. Usually someone we don't see picking up time penalties.
This is a
Has
pretty
one.
easy track to get time penalties at,
Oh,
just because of the nature of the nature
Joaquin
of the
makes a
corner.
move on Jamie Knock, and he took the smaller part of the track to do so. Ended up going for the inside lane when Jamie kind of covered inside, so that was a little bit of a scary moment. Apollo Aston on the back of Darius McGill. They both have saved up a bunch of ERS. Like Aston had to pit. Darius, I think, runs wide. Aston trying to do a switchback. Still on the ERS. They just do not care about their race anymore. Just going for it.
We have a spin between Harley Collins and I'm assuming Feared by Gaming, because they were swapping positions before we had the Sector 2 yellow. I'm assuming that was an issue of contact. The AI, or maybe that
Kaz
wasn't an
just
AI. Don Cat, maybe he came back.
Did he spin or was it a slowdown?
He spun. I'm not really sure how. I didn't really catch what
So
happened.
then he's probably back then. Because, I mean, it didn't look... That's a little weird, though. And Darius Miguel uses all the ERS on that lap.
Well, he's not. I'll tell you, Don Kaz is
stuff.
not an AI anymore. You can tell by his steering inputs he's not an AI anymore.
The gap between Matthew Stotts and Carlo, going to the straight. Carlo's more ERS. He's at 50. Stotts
Is
is
he
at
gonna
5.
try and make a move this time? He's a little too far. No, he lifts out of it. Thinks better of that one. What do we have for time penalties right now, Tyler?
Matthew Stotts at 6 seconds. Carlo Durante at 3. Joaquim at 8 seconds. Jamie Knock at 6 seconds. James at 3. Luke Allen at 6. And then Shade is at 14 seconds. I think 9, and then the speeding penalty. Darius McGill at 3 seconds. Okay.
So our big winners right now. Stotts is up 4 positions, but our hugest winner right now is James Sands up 7 positions from P12 at the start to P5. Also, Shade Mab started 14th, then is up to 7th.
I think one thing you should look at is Aston Lewis just went for a move going into cops, tried to sneak to the inside, and I think hit the wall. So this might escalate between Darius and Aston.
We will definitely continue to watch this. We know that they
Darius
don't like
goes
each other
inside.
very much.
Aston with a switchback just runs into the back of Darius and drives into the side of Darius.
We do know that they're not enjoying each other's company very much this race.
That is for sure. That is a light way to put it. So through cops, Carlo Durante is still here. He's just doing the opposite of what he did last week and not really being aggressive with him because he has more time penalties. He's on the better tire.
Yeah.
There's no point of really trying to just let him pull
Although
you
Stott's
until
got a
his
pretty
tires
awful
give out.
run that time out of Church.
Yeah, but
so.
Carlo's still not on his ERS. He's up to 70% at this point. And Jamie Knock makes a move to Joaquin's inside. And there's not going to be much fight from the AlphaTauri.
We're going
Now,
to take
at
a look
some
back
point,
at...
Carlo should probably try to go for a move because he is getting slightly caught.
I was going to say, I think what we should take a look at in the Cops Corner again. We're soon going to have the opportunity here for Aston Lewis and Darius's battle again to heat up. We got 3 pretty legitimate battles going on the track right now. Battle 1 between Stotts, the leader, and Carlo Durante for the win. Battle 2 between Jamie Knock and Joachim 5028 for P3. And then finally, Aston Lewis and Darius McGill. Arguably the most interesting battle in the track because these two seem to not like each other very much. There's been some contact, a little bit of...
Big dive.
It was definitely a dive. Hopefully at the end of this they can get over their differences and continue on.
One thing I will say that's kind of surprising, their battle after it seemed to have reached the apex has gotten slightly cleaner. Like, I mean, they haven't made as much contact, which is kind of surprising considering they've like broke each other's wings more than one occasion.
Yeah, this is something. This is one of the ones that I've been confused about pretty often because it's just they're both on the 3-stop strategy. Like both of their races
Matthew
are.
Stotts is in. Yeah, I'm not sure what the plan is there, but that'll put him.
Oh, he's
he
retired.
Retires. Yeah.
Oh.
I guess he just didn't see a point.
I mean, he might just have had something come up. Sometimes
Oh
that
yeah,
happens.
that too. He said he had to leave by a certain point, so that probably is more likely what it is.
That is a sad way to end the race, but I'm sure he can come away feeling fairly positive about the fact that he brought the fight to Carlo Durante throughout the race. Shame to see that battle come to a close.
And he had quite good pace there. I think that's probably the one thing he keeps, is that he was still fast at a track that I don't think he was very confident in. So now the main battle is between second and third. And also this does elevate their battle because it is for P2, which is more points as AJ falls off a cliff.
Yeah, I dropped my phone. I was looking at the standings. Battle's so good I can't hold things.
At the moment?
Is there what?
From where we stand. Is there like a big change?
In terms of points, Carlo Durante is opening a bigger gap on James Sands. And I think the biggest takeaway here is Darius McGill, after his not great showing at Canada, and then his Red Bull Ring experience.
And then he didn't show up to Red Bull.
Yeah. So after those two events, I believe he's like P5 or 6 now. Like he's dropping.
I thought it was 4.
Something like that. I don't know. It's in that area. I'm trying to do mental math whilst commentating. It's not working. Not much of a math guy. We need a third guy just calculating stuff in the commentary booth.
They'll be putting up the championship scenarios later on.
Oh yeah, in race 8.
So looking at the points, he is third still. 15 or 13 points ahead of Jamie Knock. And he's way back from the battle at this point. Matthew Stotts, if he would have finished where he is, he probably could have kept going up the standings. He's P5 at the moment. Aston Lewis is P8. So surprisingly low for someone who's had such good pace and they, for example, dominated at Monaco.
He's still only 4/10 off Darius.
Yeah, that fight's not gonna end on track at least, because Aston has 17 seconds in time penalty, so it's over in that sense.
Yeah,
and James could pick up the pieces if they keep getting time penalties up front, because there's 9 seconds for Jamie Knock, and then there's 11 for Joaquin. So he's only 8.5 away. So that could end up with him getting a podium possibly.
Our biggest people with penalties. Oh! Aston in the wall. Oh!
Did he do what? He did the opposite of what Adam Pelk did. That's a safety car.
He had a moment like Carlo had, except he couldn't gather the car. He just regathered or he let the steering, I think, swap on him, and then when he caught it, it gripped up, and he just kind of went into the wall, and then that was game over at that point. As soon as you're in the grass and the steering wheel's already flipped over itself, you're basically a passenger at that point. This heats up the race immensely. We've got
also, this gives Darius a second chance here.
This gives a lot of people incredible chance. Not only that, think about this, okay? Don Kaz is P7 with no penalties. If he can keep it within you know, 6 seconds of, we'll say, 4 different cars ahead of him. Joaquin,
Possibly a
Jamie
podium.
Knock, Luke Allen, and Shade Maps. We're talking 4 position game. Like, this is an incredible uh, opportunity, we'll say, for, you know, somebody in their first race having, you know, as a comeback opportunity. He hasn't had the strongest race ever. He spent some of it in AI, came back, caught a slap, spun around. You know, this could be a good chance for him to kind of show what he can do in traffic in a high pressure situation. I think he'll be looking to make some moves for sure. Also, Darius, huge winner from this. Only 3 seconds worth of penalties. He's
So
got
Carlo, everyone's coming in for softs at this point.
Darius could legitimately snag a podium out of this in terms of time.
I
Like
think
we're
so too. He will end up coming out P7. I don't think he'll be able to catch any of the cars that are further ahead, especially I think they're still on Delta. So that is a problem. Everyone's pitting, so Carlo will still be P1. No question there. I think Joaquim has to serve a stop-go penalty, the 5 second, and now he's down to 6 seconds, and it moves him down to P3.
no, that's a shame for him, but I'm sure he'll rather take that than 5 seconds at the end of the race.
Yeah, and then one thing that does as well is it gives him 3 seconds less than Jamie Knox. So if it comes down to it, then he will pass him if he's within that 3 seconds. And Darius comes in for another set of softs. I don't know about that. I think he just would want the freshest set on track, but I don't know if I want to be around. I don't know if I want to be last in the line. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. He still had a fresh set of softs lying around, so he just wanted to put those on instead. Which, sure, you have the warmest set probably and the freshest set of tires, but I'm not sure if that works when you gotta get around 2 more cars then. And I'm not even sure if they're gonna go this lap, because they don't have the whole field together.
No, I don't think they'll be in this time either. If they are, it'll be close, but I think they'll
Yeah,
just
because Darius
let it
just
go
came out
around.
of the chart, around to the pits.
We're going to be talking about a 2-lap dash. It's been a long week.
Awesome.
Yawning. We're getting down to a 2-lap dash, and I can't keep my eyes open.
This one should be really interesting, though. I think there's a little bit of disparity in pace and where people are, so there should be a lot of movement. Because I like Kaz had some pace in the beginning. I think qualified somewhat higher than where they are. Darius qualified fourth, or he qualified fourth on mediums. So him being on the freshest softs on track should be pretty helpful. They are definitely going to go next time because he's not here.
I will correct you on that. I think Kaz qualified P12.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that was on mediums. Right. Never mind. And then I honestly, I'm surprised on how consistent James has been, because that's been the main thing going for him. While people like Carlo and Aston have had outright pace, he's had very, very, very consistent finishes. I think throughout the season, he has collected, I would have to guess, like one of the most amount of podiums. But I don't think he's
100%.
won.
No, he hasn't won a race yet.
To be fair, I think it's the same with me in F2.
I was going to say, you're doing something very similar in F2 at the moment, leading the standings with no wins.
Yeah, so going to this should be really interesting. The safety car, like I said, brings the field together, but it also creates a little bit of kind of a strategy with the penalties. Like if with Duracell, he doesn't have to really worry about anything. As long as he just pulls away, he'll be fine. If he just drives like he's been the last 2 stints, then no one can really catch him. The only person that can beat him with penalties is going to be too far behind to do anything.
Are you expecting some last-ditch mayhem for passing there at the end?
Oh yeah. I think
there's-
it's gonna happen. I think someone's gonna dump ERS and then be within striking range into the final corner, or the second to last corner, the one at the end of the big straight, and then
Physical
send
striking?
it there. That might end up happening as well. They'll send it and then physically strike the other car, and then there'll be a big calamity.
physically
I'm
striking.
not sure who will happen between, but I think it's gonna happen at least once before the end of this. And we see Darius warming the engine. That's what we'll call it from here on out, just warming the engine. And the safety car is in, like we assumed, so we're gonna have 2 laps to go off the restart. Who do you think this safety car helped out the most? I would like to see that before we go.
Probably Donkaz. Aside from that, I would say James Sands has a lot to gain from this. Darius is the biggest winner here for sure.
Big chance for recovery. Darius does have fastest lap, but it could be snatched away here.
And we're getting ready to go green here. Carlo Durante stands on the power and he's off. Jamie Knock, not the best start, but I don't think he got caught napping. I think he's just in the wrong gear because he accelerated and then he just slowed down. So I think that's all that was. Joachim doing pretty okay to stick with Jamie Knock there. They've had a battle all race long. Pack's already pretty spread out here, but we do have Darius McGill up the inside of the Haas of Feared by Gaming. And the Haas! Oh, the Haas makes a move.
Darius is trying to avoid him. So one thing I would say is Darius pit from P7 to get the fresh softs, and I kind of foreshadowed that would be a problem, and it was, because Donkaz had like the worst start I've seen in a while. He got really slumped, and then that's why you see almost a 2-second gap at this point, and that kind of ruined Darius' chance of striking up. Let's see what else his battles are going on.
He can still make it back to P7 though.
He can make it up further due to penalties, but on track at least, I think that's the maximum that he can go for.
The Haas still dumping ERS. Darius has to back out of that one. Another 3-second penalty for Luke Allen, who will drop further down the standings here with that penalty.
That'll probably put him to... Ooh, oh no, because maybe farther down because of Darius and Kaz. Darius makes a move.
Feared by Gaming's already used all of his ERS for the lap.
And Darius is pretty close to that as well, and so is Kaz. And there's Carlo with a flyer. Jamie just needs to hold... Actually, there's no DRS because this is the final lap. I didn't think about that. I was going to say maybe grab and pull away, but can't really do that right now. Darius is on a mission to just get as close as possible because he could possibly scoop up P5, but Donkaz...
Feared by Gaming is backwards in the wall.
And he's backing up onto track? I've never seen that before.
It was a technique for sure.
And so like I was saying, Darius, if he can get a little bit more time on the cars in front, that could possibly be P5. Due to the 9-second time penalties.
Allen is caught right up to the back of Joachim, but I don't think he'll be fast enough to make anything happen here just because A, penalties, and B, I just don't think he's going to risk it.
The ERS, I could see a big dump on the final straight, just using everything you have because he has a lot more than everybody else.
This is true.
I would be interested to see what the penalties turn out to. And there we go. Luke is on the power, but just not close enough. James is just trying to get as close as he can to get all those positions, I think.
And as we come around club, Carlo Durante still in the lead. He's going to take his 5th win of the ARC Formula 3 season, presented by SimLeaguePro.com.
And James bounces up to P2.
Phenomenal
so
recovery.
Gave him second.
Darius up to 6. Don Kaz up to P4 after penalties.
I'm pretty proud of our people that are debuting today. Joachim, Don Kaz. I think Joachim showed a more outright pace and then was able to get a podium, but I'm proud of the Ferrari too.
Yeah, that was
and then
a very...
James from, I think, P13 or P12 up to P2 due to time penalties. That's what not getting time penalties gets you. Quite a good showing from the Alpine.
Yeah, that was a great race from our new drivers in this series. Proud to see new people coming into the series, making some waves. It's always good to see. Hopefully, people join, stick around, and become valuable part of the community as always. What does this do for our championship standings? Well, it moves Carlo Carlo Durante further out into the lead. James Sands in P2 has minimized the damage, actually.
Just about
And
as much as you can.
just about as much. Yeah,
Jamie
exactly.
fell pretty far down, but I think he's the next highest finisher in
I think
P5.
you're correct.
So that would probably... And then Darius was P6, so that gap gets slightly smaller. Matthew Stotts wasn't able to stay. Luke Allen probably jumps up to P5 in the standings.
Something like that, yes, for sure.
But that's kind of, I think, all of the movement that we are having for this race. Because Aston crashed out, I think was either in 10th or 11th, so won't get really any points. And then I think that's probably it for points.
Yeah, I think you basically covered everything there that happened. So, in 40 minutes, we will be back broadcasting again on the channel, potentially, for ARC Formula 2, our next tier up, where me and Tyler will both be competing. And then in another 2 hours and 45 minutes, we will be broadcasting ARC Formula 1 with our commentator, Brendan Match. And yeah, we will see you guys for those broadcasts upcoming. Stick around for that. And still a lot of racing to come today.